So I'd like to kind of focus on another kind of like big theoretical idea, if you will. Something to kind of think about. And there's a discussion forum for this, for you to kind of post your opinions and your thoughts on it. And the question is, what makes up a musical genre? I think, for Unit 1, I gave you a number of different genres, titles to talk about music. And in some cases, I gave you some very specific musical qualities. And in some cases, I was actually vague. And I was purposely trying to be vague, particularly when we're talking about R&B and rock and roll. Because, as was alluded to, what was considered R&B when it was performed by black musicians was later referred to as rock and roll when it was performed by white musicians. So, I want to kind of pull apart this notion about what makes a genre. On one hand, we do have musical characteristics, right? A lot of people were really able to identify within Chuck Berry's music the country aspects of it, the blues aspects of it. A lot of people were able to identify in Sister Rosetta Tharpe's music the kind of ecstatic, participatory elements that went into the songs. So that's one thing that might make up a genre. Another one might be lyrical content. Maybe there's certain genres that tend to focus on certain lyrical ideas. So for instance, if you think about something modern, like heavy metal, there are very few, almost no heavy metal songs that are about romantic love, simple romantic love. In fact, it tends to be more about aggression. It tends to more be about individual identity and strength. It tends to be about the struggle, right? Really working through something. Some cases about death, about evilness, whatever. When you think about blues music, and I tied it to hillbilly music based on the types of lyrics that were there, the honest and direct lyrics. So maybe that's another quality that makes up a genre. I would also argue that in a lot of ways, genre is determined by how we perceive the personality of the musicians. Who are they? What do they believe in? How do they dress? Their overall identity. Another kind of classic example of this would be like a lot of the black metal musicians that come out of Scandinavia, and they wear the face paint, etc., etc., and it's supposed to be just who they are. There's a quality of what they're into. You think about hippie jam bands, and they're supposed to be like happy-go-lucky guys, kind of, freewheeling hippie dudes. So there's something about who these people are, what they do, and we tie that to the music. Maybe it's part of this authenticity thing. And then I would argue, really what makes up a genre is just whatever the audience identifies it as. It seems really vague. It seems kind of like a non-answer. But think about genres that you're really kind of aware of. And I think in some cases you'll be able to say, well, this is this genre and this is not. And if you try to identify what elements are in there, well, it gets a little slippery. That, I can find qualities of one genre that can easily be applied to another. That these things aren't static, that they're not rigidly defined categories that people have to write into. And really, it's up to the audience to kind of say, well, I feel like it's coming from this style of music. It's coming from this particular tradition. It has these musical qualities that lump it in with all of this other type of music. Well, why do I bring up this idea of musical genre? Well, because to talk about surf music. Surf music is a really interesting example because, to me, it falls into this slippery category about what surf music might be at all. There's a professor up at University of California, Santa Barbara, who specializes in surf music. And this is actually kind of what he gets to, is that if you think surf music is about Southern California surfing lifestyle, well then surf music as a term becomes very fuzzy. Surf music goes all the way back to the 1920s, 1930s, in the sense that there were guys sitting on the beach playing the ukulele, trying to play Hawaiian music. And so for some surfers, that is surf music. That's what surfing is about, and that's what's represented in the music. I don't know if any of you are surfers, but based on some that I've talked to, their preferred music is something really amped up. It might be metal, it might be punk, it might be something really kind of aggressive, because that's their surfing style. Their surfing style itself is kind of a very aggressive, very kind of skilled, almost virtuosic, and that's how they approach their surfing. That's the kind of music they use to get them in that sort of mode. And so this professor from UC Santa Barbara kind of says, well, surf music is a pretty vague sort of idea, even though we do have examples that were kind of pegged to surf music.